of your host, Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Perram, and I'm joined by.
Kristen Sowards, also known as Seventh Mastery.
Kristen, I have been printing a lot lately. I have my groove back, and I have time, and I have a new cool printer, and it's
Your
been wonderful.
big new sexy printer that I'm super jealous of.
It's a nice printer. I would say that it has made printing very happy for me. We've talked about it a lot on the show, but so nothing super new to
Well, we
address
are
other
going to talk
than
about some new rivals to it, I suspect, today.
indeed. But also, I do have something else to say about it that is in the negative.
Is a negative?
Negative to the Ultra. And this is actually
What?
going to apply to a lot of these new third gen printers.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I see that there's a dent in my ACF film at the corner where I do the prying up of the cleaning layer. This is not unusual.
Right.
Also, ACF is incredibly durable, so that isn't even concerning.
Yep.
Also, I've had continuum working film before in the old style that looked like the Wolverine at the far side of a Sabretooth fight, and it still worked just fine.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, I should get for some reason it didn't come with a spare. I've never had a printer not come with a spare before. Have you ever had a printer not come with a spare?
No. No.
So I went and I was like, I've heard from Fawhammer, who's done a lot of testing with different ACF printers, that there's something about Elegoo's specific branded ACF that is some sort of magic sauce right now. And it's doing better than other people's ACF. So I wanted to order name brand.
Ooh.
So I go and I get Elegoo's replacement Saturn 3 Ultra ACF film 5-pack. $90.
Oh, wow. You know, I ordered a new plate for my Saturn, and I still haven't seen it.
Oh, good. I would poke Elegoo about that. That seems like a long time.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. I went and looked also for a replacement vat because I have really fallen in love with having the multiple vats like you.
Yes.
And being able to go clear, green, blue. This is weird tenacious blend. This is super brittle stuff. And just being able to hot swap my resin. $60 per vat for the new stuff. So like while the printer is nice and not overpriced,
its accessories are kind of spendy.
Yeah. And honestly, the Saturn was like this too when it launched. Not this bad on the ACF film, but definitely on the replacement parts.
And it was for 5 though?
5 sheets of ACF, yeah.
Yeah, because I think the 5-pack for I did get name brand the old one too. The number 2 one.
Right.
FEP2s.
Or PTFE.
Yeah. But yeah, it was only like 30 or 40. We do have James, Alberto, and David here. Hi.
Hello, everybody. Good to have you on the show. So I will warn y'all, if you're getting into the new generation of printers, take care of your stuff. Because these replacement parts, a little bit on the pricey side right now. I imagine this will go down.
But it is good to get some. You know, come to think of it, my Saturn did not come with one because I remember buying the first time I bought one, I got a 5-pack. Because it only had the one, so I was like, I'm gonna get 5.
My Saturn did because I used the extra as a screen protector. I got some Captain tape and put it down and used it as a screen protector until I got in a real screen protector.
Gotcha. I also, after my experience with my Anycubic, just ordered a screen protector when I got the Saturn, so I had one from the day I turned it on.
Very nice. My screen protector should be here on Thursday.
And you've been doing so much printing without it.
No. Well, it doesn't have it has a safe screen, so I feel a little bit safer doing it. But I'm totally going to get a screen protector. Don't worry. Yeah. I mean, right now I could just use one of my old screen protectors where I have to do the cutting myself, but they make the new fancy ones that are just made for the printer with all the holes cut in the right places, and they're so much easier, and it doesn't cost that much more.
And it's actually cool because you can use like the lineup with all the holes and pop it right together. It's amazing.
And people worry about bubbles in screen protectors. Do not worry at all. They're not going to cause any significant distortion in your print. I've done tests. It's fine.
I'd still get rid of them.
I get rid of the big ones, but don't worry about every single bubble. This is not you putting tempered glass onto your Nintendo Switch.
So
It does not matter.
when I worked for the corporate book monster,
Uh-huh.
we sold e-readers,
Right.
and people were very particular about bubbles in their screen protectors.
Of course, if it's a screen I need to
And
look
they
at.
always made us install them for.
Oh, that's
So
not
like I am A, very good at it, and B, now very like committed to a zero bubble application, or as close to zero as I can get. Every once in a while I get like a teeny one, but I've only replaced them like.
I think it's worth noting where I said at screens I want to look at. I need to also do safety announcement. Do not look at your screen of your 3D printer when it is on. You do
It's
not
a
want
laser,
to stare
right?
into the UV light.
That's bad.
No, some of your printers might be lasers, but most of your printers are using UV light.
It's very bright light and bad.
It's also very specific light that is very damaging. It's certain wavelengths of light that is very damaging. Looking straight in the UV will literally sunburn your eyeballs.
Cut all the big bubbles into little ones. Check.
Sorry, so yeah, I've been throwing up printing. I've been doing some tests with whether or not anti-aliasing is worth it on the printer. Because I never really was a big fan of anti-aliasing anyway, because it's like, hey, make your print fuzzy on purpose. But it does disguise the layer lines. But now my prints are so freaking sharp, and you can barely see the layer lines to begin with.
I do believe I did see when you saw one the other day on one of your dwarves.
Yes, that was once. No, I'm looking at it right now. So I'm reprinted this dwarf, and I'm doing it with he's on the printer right now with the anti-aliasing. So I'll report back next time about how that went.
I see.
Yes. So fun. But I will say that when he entered the wash station right before the episode, he did not look substantially less crisp. So
the anti-aliasing didn't make him quote unquote fuzzy.
Right. I mean, when we're dealing with like this high of a resolution, it definitely probably did do a quality kick. But I just don't know if it's just like it's so beyond what I can notice. I went with smooth, not sharpen, David. I wanted to make any potential layer lines disappear, and I'm only seeing them on sheer flat surfaces at certain angles, which is like the worst position to do 3D printing, because like just off flat, it means that which you have to print anyway. They never print flat to the vid plate because you're getting so much distortion. But just off flat on a sheer flat line basically shows the topography lines like crazy, because it's just so much easier to see on one of those angles. But this is going to be a mostly newsy news episode with lots of new printers showing up on the...
Lots of new printers.
Right. So first we're going to do the least exciting ones.
The least exciting?
Yes. So we talked, of course, about Elegoo's brand new printers that they've announced and they're doing. So like they're doing the Neptune 4 Pro and the Neptune 4 Plus and the Neptune 4 Max. So of course this week, Anycubic has to announce the Cobra 2 Pro and the Cobra 2 Plus and the Cobra 2 Max, which have the exact same stats and features as the Neptune 4 equivalents. Just like all of the Anycubic and Elegoo printers, they seem to always be right in lockstep with each other, exactly with feature set. It's almost like they're sourcing their parts from the same factories in China.
What?
Oh, yeah, and it's going to be fun. So that's nice. So so there's more options. They're the same price points too. So if you
want, exactly the same, like is it literally one for one?
It is. It really is. So if you want, like, these are actually very, very those max level printers are looking really tempting to me, because like having just one big honker FDM printer that can go 300 milliseconds print. So Anycubic was actually, I like that their website, they were a little bit more honest with the not that Elegoo was dishonest, but they were just more like realistic with the printing speeds that you can expect with these things.
Right, right.
So they're like, yes, it can do 1500, and if you want the speed benchy, go for it. Or I guess 500, and if you want the speed benchy, go for it. But realistically, you're going to be printing at 300 instead, because like not pushing this thing to its literal maximum potential. And then it gives some really good stats of like, hey, compared to a print the standard speeds of last generation printers, what you can expect. So 18-minute benchies at 300 milliseconds, 18 minutes at 50 milliseconds, which is the standard acceptable, pretty solid speed for last generation printers. 108 minutes. So hey, 83% faster. And then just like this shovel, 54 minutes as opposed to 3 hours 51 minutes.
Wow.
This flower pot, 2 hours 33 minutes as opposed to 15 hours. And just sort of give you like a good idea of like complex parts that have more turns that you save less time than parts that have nice long straight runs where it can get to full acceleration.
Sure.
Yeah. But like 18-minute benchy is nothing to sneeze at.
I think we're going to end up having to do an episode about how to donate your printer to a school when you upgrade. Because
I'm going to eventually. Think about that. I absolutely have a lot of printers that just need homes now.
Yeah, so I'm not there yet, but I know it's coming. Like especially if I upgrade my resin, because like I could see keeping the Saturn, the other one, for a while if I upgrade, but I certainly, if I ever upgrade like 2 times, would be getting rid of one, right?
So just to go over the stats for people that missed last episode where we gave these exact same stats for the Elegoo printers. Okay. The default Anycubic Cobra 2 Pro has 220 by 220 by 250 build volume. So, your standard just over 10-inch build volume of most bed slingers. This is your Ender 3 clones and exactly what they're able to do. Right. You've got your, I think it is 350 for the next step up, the plus, and the max is 424, 2500. So very big printer. You can print helmets on it, which is like a good benchmark. Like, what would you want to 3D print? Helmet is often an option. If you're a cosplayer, you want to print a Power Ranger helmet or equivalent Iron Man helmet or Magneto helmet or whatever cosplay helmet you want.
Right.
If you want to print a motorcycle helmet, the max is the printer for you.
I have the Mega X that technically could do it, but it would just take forever.
At 500 millimeters a second, it won't take all that much time.
Yeah.
And it's got the input shaping. That's the only way that it's able to do those high speeds. It has dual linear rails. It's got auto bed leveling, heated beds. The full feature set that we used to drool over. As like one of these days.
That now is appallingly standard.
Yeah, and all of that for $4.99 USD for the max. So these are, again, just pick your brand. They're identical almost in every way, but
I'm tempted to say what I want to say about that from my personal experience. Consider the customer service your product will get, is what I will say.
Yeah, I will say I have been very happy with every Elegoo printer I've had.
We will not disclose any other biases other than the cautionary tale that was my big Anycubic mistake, which is my own fault. It had nothing to do with Anycubic. The printer was fine.
So not much more for us to say there, considering last episode was about these big printers and all the cool things you could do with big printers and printing big objects. Mm-hmm. But there is a new printer on the scene that is going in the other direction.
The other direction?
Bamboo Labs, the maker of the P1P and the X1 Carbon, has announced a new printer. A new member of the lineup. And it's the baby.
It's the baby? It's a little printer?
It's the baby. It's a little bitty printer. It is the Bamboo Labs A1 Mini.
I'm seeing a lot of spools there.
Yes, that's one of the exciting parts of this. It is a cantilever bed slinger printer.
Explain what that means, like I'm a child who doesn't understand you.
So it has one pole that has
Yeah.
a weighted arm that moves up and down that one pole to the side. So
Okay.
that's the cantilever part.
Got
And
that.
then bed slinger means that it handles one of the axes by moving the physical bed plate itself. So the Neptunes, the Anycubics, they're all bed slingers. Whereas a Core XY printer, like the other bamboo printers, which are
Mhm.
like the ones in big boxes where the bed goes up, it is on the Z axis instead. So it's only moving up and down and very slowly at that.
Right.
Those are usually much more stable and capable of much higher print speeds because you don't have to
Interesting.
account for the entire print
Guess I
bed
haven't thought
moving.
too much about Z-axis, but that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it's bed slingers are cheaper. Usually, they're easier to make and they
Mhm.
require less parts. They look like what you imagine a 3D printer looks like if you've ever seen an Ender 3.
Yeah.
The Bamboo Lab one is cantilever, so it only has the one arm.
That's, I think,
And
why
it,
it looks so different to me, right?
yeah,
Is
this is very much the polar opposite of like the X1 Carbon. But it's coming in at $300 just for the printer
mm.
and $460 for the combo, which comes with the printer and the ALS system.
So explain that, because it looks cool if it's doing what I think it's doing, but
Yeah, that is the cool part of this printer. So let's talk about the printer first self.
okay.
First itself. It is 180 by 180 by 180, so
So it's a little
smaller
guy.
than your traditional.
A
So
little
not
guy.
a great choice for people who want to print a lot of terrain on this thing. But if
Right.
you want to print toys or smaller stuff, or you can still print the terrain, but you're going to need to cut it up yourself into smaller chunks than the usual default cuts that are made for Enders.
Right.
Because again, it's just a non-standard size.
Interesting
And
choice.
right. And so it's on the small side, but it's still very fast. It's got like the high speed printing, it's got the auto bed leveling,
What's
it's
their
got
stated max? Like not quote unquote honest max. Does it say what it is?
I am looking for it and I don't see it. They've
So it's 14 minutes down there, so the benchy. So it's similar.
so yeah, that would be probably like I don't have that number, so I don't want to say that number. I
No,
just
that's
know it's
fine, but
capable of
but
high
it
speed
looks like
printing.
it's comparable to those new.
Right. And I will say, like the X1C, like
Uh-huh.
their flagship printer, which is the Core XY fully enclosed luxury printer, is capable of what they call ludicrous speed printing that will actually hit those 4-digit millimeter print speeds
Mm-hmm.
and add. You take a quality hit at ludicrous speed, but
Yeah.
it's a possibility.
I just don't know why I would do that. Like I'm much more of like I got nervous about the 2-day jobs, the 3-day jobs, because that was a lot of time that I wasn't standing hovering over it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think if you could get it out faster, I'd be
Mhm.
just fine leaving it for the higher quality print myself.
Mhm. I mean, at 300 millimeters a second, we're only 300 millimeters a second. Like
Right,
seriously,
exactly.
yeah. I mean, seriously, I'm gonna have to slap down for one of that generation, this new generation of filament printers soon. It's just like seriously, a 5 times print speed increase is just stupid. Like it's a no brainer. I love the tech jump we've had this last little bit with printers.
Yeah.
So all of that, all of their cool software support, all of their cool calibrating support, like it has a ton of the features, the touchscreen, the heated bed, all the jazz, all the auto leveling, everything. But it also has AMS support, which is multi-material support. You can
Mm,
feed this thing four. Now, by default, you feed this thing one filament at a time.
right. But this
But if you
kit or
have the
whatever
optional
adds.
ALMS upgrade, which is the ALMS Lite, which is what they're
Okay.
calling it, you can then have up to 4 different materials
Mm-hmm.
fed into this printer, and it will switch between them
Hmm.
as it prints. So you can absolutely just like really cool things. Like people have made like lots and lots of like Mario statues with it and giant Lego people with the right colors. Like anything that you can imagine being in 4 different colors, it will
Right.
print those in 4 different colors. And there's a
And it
lot of
just
fun
swaps
things you can
colors
do.
on
Yeah,
layer, right? So it can interlace the colors nicely.
right.
Cool.
and you teach it. And it's also smart. It's able to handle different types of filament in each
Mhm.
different thing. So like and if you're using Bamboo's branded filaments, it
Mhm.
has a reader built into the spool, so it just slot their thing, and it just is pre-calibrated and knows
Oh,
exactly what settings to use
that's
for
smart
that
and,
particular filament.
cunning of them to add that extra for their own brand.
And you can also use one of those materials just for support material. And you can use one of those water dissolving support material filaments
Yeah,
that
we've
you
talked
just,
about that as a
yeah, yeah.
possibility. That's
You
cool.
just print the thing up, just go over to your soapy water, dunk it until all the stuff just falls
Gosh.
away and you get a perfect part.
I've hurt myself way more peeling FDM supports than I ever have with resin. I mean, occasionally I poke myself. It usually like ruins the gloves I'm wearing with a resin support. But when I'm pulling off FDM supports, because that would be so nice to just dissolve them. That would be amazing.
I've just been seeing a lot of multi-material prints lately that's just like really sold the concept to me.
Yeah.
Like game tokens are like perfect for this, where it's like they can do like the two tones, so you can get like a solid green token with black text or like black under or a
Or
black
a
background to the
border.
symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's just so many fun things you can do. The David's talking about the Flexi Dragons. The Flexi Dragons print wonderfully on this stuff, and that's
Yeah.
another thing. Like for simple cartoon characters and toys and stuff, you can print like the body out of 99% of it can just be one material, and then
Right.
just come in for the eyes or the teeth or the mouth, and just do those small little
Sure.
details and
Sure.
other things. It's just so many good possibilities with multi-material printing.
I don't know if you
That
noticed Jeffrey there. Jeffrey in chat is saying he loves watching you.
Oh, thank you, Jeff.
I
Jeff is
don't.
one of my regular game group
Oh,
players.
nice, nice. I just don't think I've seen him in chat. So
I don't think I have either. Thanks for stopping by, Jeff. Yeah, it's going to be fun. With a printer like this, the AMS system is also separate. We believe you'll be able to use this AMS system with the other Bamboo printers.
mm-hmm.
So Bamboo has an AMS system existing that's a little bit more expensive than this one, where it's like a big case that goes on top of their printers, and you slot
Gotcha.
in filament into the case.
I did notice it was called the AMS Light. That implies
Yeah.
there's an AMS Heavy.
Yes.
So
So the AMS Heavy very much does exist, and it's capable of that stuff. Also, when you do multi-material printing, it does slow things down considerably because it has to purge between layers, and it actually will print something called a purge tower next to your print. So
oh,
basically, this tower of basic just pure support material prints off in the corner at the same level as the print, so that it can
interesting.
just like spit out the transition filament from when it
Oh,
changes from one color to the
that's
other,
clever. I like it. That's smart
and make sure
because
that the nozzle's nice and clean. And
yes,
it will
yes,
also spit out the little nugget of the worst of that transition. So like
sure.
it'll just make a little ball of filament and just spit it out to the side. So much so, like one of the most popular prints for the Bamboo prints are just like little trash buckets that mount to the back of it to catch the poop.
Nice. It also poops. Yes,
Yeah.
Herberto said that. It also poops.
Yeah. So one of the very first prints you should print with any Bamboo is the appropriate poop bucket to catch all the transition layers.
Cool.
But Uncle Jesse put out a video on this printer where he pointed out something very cool that he's discovered, which
What's
is
that?
that if you're doing multi prints, it actually is better for you to do multiple objects if you're going to do multiple objects,
Hmm.
because you save time on the transition print.
Oh, I guess that
So
makes
it's
sense.
actually that you don't take as much of a you actually do get a time savings, where usually multiple objects on FDM printing gives zero time saving because the time on FDM prints is material output is your time.
Gotcha.
But now you're introducing a time buffer that is independent of material as it swaps material, purges, and
Hmm.
that time can be shared between all of those objects. So
Hmm. Yeah,
getting
yeah. So that there's only one trip over to the tower.
mhm. And this also makes for some very clean looking multi-print stuff, because right before that, the best way to get multi-material objects is to print like separate parts in the
Right.
different colors, or to paint. Like I love painting stuff, but that's not a skill everybody enjoys. And to
Yeah,
get like
yeah,
really good finishes that you like, you've got to do like masking and get an airbrush out and all that stuff to get like the super, super, super level looking stuff.
yeah.
And it will be great.
I've definitely had those friends that are like, they love how much I've been 3D printing, but every time I'm like, yeah, do you want to come over and paint your character? They're like, nah. And like, I can't ever get them to paint anything that I print. And I can imagine that's the sort of person that this sort of thing would be really cool for.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that we are moving closer and closer to full color printing. And full color resin printing is a thing that exists and is getting better every day. I've been seeing some of the new stuff that Only Games has been putting out with their new multi print printers. They've been sending some of those out to reviewers.
Hmm.
And that's been fun. So I wonder how long until we get multi printing at a hobbyist level. And I mean
Good.
$1,500 or lower.
It still doesn't feel very hobby friendly, but yes. Yeah. I mean, sure, it's coming, right?
Right. Because right now you can do it if you're willing to spend $5,000.
Hey, you want to come over and print our characters? I mean, that's basically already happening.
Hmm. I mean, that's kind of a message I already got today from
You
Jeff.
did? From
So we're playing tomorrow. Reminder to print his character from Hero Forge.
Is this a Pathfinder one or what is it?
Yeah. It's the Eberron Pathfinder game.
Oh, is it your
And
Mages game?
yeah, yes. And he is playing a Warforged Barbarian.
That's fun.
Yes. Fun. Enjoying that game. It's been a lot of fun. It's been very goofy and also way too many cults. But it's Eberron, so that's
I mean, yeah. What level are you now?
4? Question mark? It's
Slow
been a
track?
while.
Or is it milestone? Or
Milestone. You don't like Milestone?
I understand the seduction of it. I understand the seduction of milestone leveling. It's really easy for DMs, but it's also really easy for DMs to forget how long it's been between story beats and to let characters languish. I do this whole thing about player priority, and if you're a progress-oriented player, that's one of your high priorities. Milestone is murder.
Yeah. I don't know that any of us are super progress oriented. I mean, like I've done games like that have gone like literally 8 years
Yeah.
to get to level 12.
Sure.
Mhm.
We usually run fast track,
Mhm.
EXP, and run, bi-weekly games that get to 20th level in 2 to 3 years.
Mhm. That's the normal.
Yeah.
That particular game was running slow track XP on a weekly.
Hmm.
Mhm. And
Slow
the
track is
encounters
brutal.
were also heavily weighted towards social.
Yeah. I did I did a game where I did fast track till 5, and then we're going to switch to slow track to try to like let the sweet spot last.
Mm-hmm.
I think by like 9th or 10th level, everybody was like, no, stop. Kick the switch back on. So,
I am running into a problem with the Eberron game though, and it's I'm with a group of people who are not Pathfinder aficionados.
right.
The GM is, and
you are.
and I am.
Yeah.
And I'm trying very, very, very hard not to Vanessa Hoskins this and break it over my knee.
Ooh, you said a name.
Yes.
I do adore V though, so
I do adore V. But her crazy character builds are things of legend.
they
And
are.
I
They're
love listening to
average
them.
in my groups.
Oh, good Lord. I would not want to see your groups build.
However, I will
Mhm.
say that don't worry about it. Do it because you become the security blanket for the party.
It's already happened. Because even then, with me not trying, where I'm just doing the bread and butter Magus build.
Well, Magus. Anyway.
Where I'm just doing the absolute basic Magus build with a black blade, so I'm getting a little bit of fun time.
Yeah. Okay, more than a little.
Just doing the basics of bare minimum optimization of just choosing the good
thing
build.
Yeah.
it's running into the situation where the
Party
party goes,
mommy.
yeah, the party has fun, and
you keep them alive.
yeah, the rogue does the sneak attack and does 7 damage, and
Ah,
then the barbarian is really awesome and comes in and they do the 14 damage, and I'm like, okay, good, yeah, and then like
you like shocking touch Nova.
crit
Yeah.
on my first of 2 attacks, and then
Explode.
so 67 damage to the
Mm-hmm.
monster, and I'm level 4 maybe,
Mm-hmm.
which is not broken compared to the groups I've been in.
No, I mean, like, it's good, but I would not say it's out of bounds for some of the stuff I've seen.
Mm-hmm. So
Be
I do feel
included.
bad. Yeah, so I do feel bad about that. So I need to, so I dial it back a lot. So a whole lot of times I'm just going up and I'm going acid splash.
Yeah, V did a medium because the
Mhm.
challenge was, could V play a medium hard enough to make it like good? She cracked. She could do it.
I need to. Ooh, I need you to stall for 5 minutes.
For 5 minutes?
For a
Yikes.
moment. For a moment. Carry the
Okay.
conversation. Tell the audience about the cool thing.
Tell them about my cool thing. I can tell them about my cool things. I'm currently printing this big train steampunk dragon thing, and Perram was going to put it up on screen, but he ran away before he did it. So, but it's part of the files that Dragon Trappers Lodge shot me for adding to our resource pack on our Kickstarter. And he normally runs like 20-25 bucks, I want to say. And with him and the werewolves, it's like I'm paying you to back the Kickstarter if you're just getting the digital level. But yeah, he's a very, very big boy. I'm just printed him off, and he is a really big. Oh, Perram could show now that he's back. But he's a dragon made out of a train, and he's amazing. Yes, there he is. He's a big boy. I could not. I tried my best because they do give you a file of the whole thing built together, and I could not get an angle to put the whole thing on my plate on the Saturn. It was just a little too big.
Oh no!
I tried and I tried.
Wings really do screw that up for you.
Yeah, and I was hoping maybe that there was just a body fused to base, and I was like, I could go do this, and fuse it myself, but I was just so tired, so I did not. So he's in chunks, curing right now as we speak.
Big things like this, chunks are fine.
Yeah, and I do have to say that Dragon Trappers does do an amazing job of slots, as long as if you're using the priest supports, especially. I actually did support man, so I'm a little nervous about warp, but usually their slots are just really tight. Really, really well put together stuff. My Eldritch Dragon, I use their priest supports on it, and it's fantastic. So, but yeah, that's part of the resource pack on the thing. So, like I said, if you want to back it, if you're a digital level, I'm basically paying you because the STLs are worth the whole thing, plus the book, plus everything, pretty much for free. So, anyhow,
it's a cool dragon. I remember when that came out and I drooled over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you get the iron golems too from about 5 months ago. So,
Jeez.
And the werewolves and the vampire riding the werewolf.
One of their other sets, like really recently, the Farmomancer has like really stuck with me because you get a turkey dragon.
Yes, you do, and every set comes with one of their hoppers, and they're doing a big hopper campaign right now where you can get all their hoppers and some new hoppers all in one big go. If you've missed hoppers, if you don't know what their hoppers are, they're basically they're 2-legged lizard chickens. I don't know what else to call them. They're adorable. They often have a little like Moogle-esque flingy thingy on their heads. They're super cute, and there's like a gazillion different variants.
Mm-hmm. Having cool mascot characters are important.
Yes, and we're going to be talking about that kind of branding with Austin actually in a couple weeks, I think.
Yay! And if you haven't listened to our previous DTL episode, go back and check that out. It was a really great episode.
Yep. But yes, what did you need? You had to go get something.
Okay, so I am alone right now, and I heard my door open.
Oh.
So that needed to be addressed immediately.
Oh.
It is still a mystery.
Was it open?
No.
Okay. So it was just ghost door.
Ghost door.
The door inside your mind is open. And now the tentacly horror monsters can come make you print them too.
Right. Well, not tentacly horror monsters. There's a bear in my yard lately.
Oh. Well, that's fun.
I mean, there's a bear in my yard every morning, but there's another bear in my yard lately.
The claw kind.
Right. The fuzzy kind.
The kind that bites you permanently.
Yes. The kind that runs off with my trash.
Well, yes. It is delicious. Sometimes rogue print attempt escape. Oh, so it's they're saying that you've been replaced, and that's why you're hearing it. It's you trying to get back in because you're actually a doppelganger, Perram.
I don't think that the Saturn Ultra is capable of sentient prints yet.
But are you sure?
I don't know. There's a really cool thing going on with the bamboo prints, though.
Yeah,
they've been giving out these kits, and I think that you can buy them. That are like project kits, where you Uncle Jesse showed one off on his YouTube channel, where it's like the internals for a mouse, but you have to print the plastic parts and can customize them. So then you can make a computer mouse.
Okay, computer mouse. I was actually thinking mice because right now I've been playing lots of the new Eldraine set in Magic, and mouse typo decks are now a thing. So there's three blind mice. So of course my brain was saying printing a mouse and customizing the mouse.
I mean, you can print mice. There's lots of cool mouse miniatures.
Duncan Shadow probably actually. I've printed several of his mouselings. They're amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, love those mice.
They're adorable. Yeah, I printed one of those, and my buddy he's playing a monster cowboy. Which is a third-party class for first edition Pathfinder, and he rides a hootger, which is an owlbear, but they call it a hootger. So they are an adorable little mouseling riding a hootger.
Oh, I love it. I like that the mouse characters get to ride cool things because Duncan Shadow has the mouse riding a squirrel.
Yeah,
and that's cool. The OPR, you get your choice between a fox and a ferret.
Cool,
which is also cool. And I've seen a swallow, so like little mouse riding a from I think Parabellum was doing that one. And gosh, there's lots of the second you have mice, they in the crossover in the cool animal categories just like explode.
Well, I'm gonna have to do a conversion job for him if we ever play physically with him again because I did his little hootger and his little mouse for the first time we did it in person because normally that game's online. But he recently used his Monster Cowboy abilities to soul brand a fiendish, warforged Velociraptor. So I'm going to have to figure out how to make a demonic-looking robotic Velociraptor. And make
this has got to be a solved problem.
And mount it with a mouseling.
This has got to be a solved problem. Listeners, please, in the comments of the YouTube video, tell us about where we can find cool robot velociraptors that can do this.
Preferably that looks sort of demonic would be good.
I can't imagine you make a robotic velociraptor that doesn't look demonic.
So yeah, there was Warforged type people in one of my campaign settings that then fought this demon war, and then the demons gave them freedom with their chaos because they were serving this empire of men. So they attacked their masters, and then they didn't want to look like people anymore, so they started modding themselves out into animals. So that's Warforged Velociraptor with fiendish influence.
Yay!
TLDR. There you go. IPA resin jelly. Okay, we have some technical stuff here in chat.
Okay.
Alex says, my IPA, resin. So this is about the alcohol.
Okay.
IPA resin jelly, coolant?
I don't know what this is. Alex Shavler has a comment.
Pool cleaner will apparently clump the resin together, leaving usable
I have to
IPA.
try this out. Alex, if you could just like kick us
Yeah.
over a link or
A
something.
link,
You won't be
yeah,
able to do so
seriously.
in chat, but
If that
message one of us.
works,
We want to
yeah.
see like anything about this because recycling IPA would save me so much money and more importantly, so much time getting rid of bad IPA.
Yes, yes, and feeling like weird about what happens to it,
Just
especially when
let it
it's
evaporate into the
goop.
atmosphere.
Well, yeah, I usually just let it turn into hard plastic milk jugs at this point.
Yeah. Hard plastic milk jug.
Yeah.
I have to when we first started resin printing, I know that I had to have freaked out like a couple of mail ladies. Like it was the height of COVID and like not even it was the beginning of COVID and they're coming up to my house and I'm like a full respirator on, like blue gloves on, like just
Eagerly
answering the door.
taking the delivery of IPA from their hands,
Yeah.
snatching it like a crazed hermit.
Hmm. Safety goggles on, the full 9 yards, like in my little shed area of my house. So it's absolutely not a lab, and this is not an area like the automatic assumption has to have been I was cooking meth because
I
of my
mean, I
region.
wasn't gonna say that because I didn't want to upset you, but you
Mhm.
beat me to it. So I
Mhm.
think, yeah, I would assume that's
Well, I
for
mean,
sure.
like unfortunately around me, the news every so often is apartment closed has to face renovation because meth lab found inside.
Right, right.
Yeah. And just for the record, I would never and have never cooked meth.
I'm nervous that you felt you needed to clarify that, but me too.
I
Having not to
I
clarify.
resin print tiny little toys.
Yes. I mean, there are chemicals in
Mhm,
my house, but they
mhm,
are for making plastic little men
mhm.
and women and monsters and tentacle horrors. Speaking of tentacle horrors, I did oddly, there was a really, really late Kickstarter
Mhm.
I got from Sandy Peterson's Cthulhu thing. And I
Ooh.
think I haven't popped this open. I should. I think they might be resin prints. Not sure
This
though.
is this is happening more and more and more because with the newer, like especially with the manufacturing grade resin printers that are coming out that can do the auto printing and the auto leveling and the
Hmm.
auto ejecting of the prints, we're
Yeah.
starting to see like resin 3D printing becoming a viable distribution method for small scale distribution.
Well, and this was something that was an expansion, and it was really late because of the pandy. But what I'm curious about, and I also find it adorable, it does say on the bottom, you need the Cthulhu Wars game to use this product. I don't think I've actually opened my actual
I've been
Cthulhu
seeing
Wars
I've
box
been
set.
seeing like town people miniatures that have 5e compatible slapped across the box and
Yes.
like terrain that has 5e compatible slapped across like a package
Have
of
you seen
trees.
a Pathfinder mini set that says 5e compatible with the Pathfinder branding
Yeah,
on it?
I have seen that too.
This is definitely. It might be Suitcast, but no, it's. I think it's resin. In fact, I think I see layer lines.
Mm, okay.
But it's a horrible, cool Shogoth. Look at it. It's
Oh yes. It's a
amazing.
horrible. I'm going to full screen you. Let's look at the terribleness.
It's really neat. But yeah, look at it. It's clearly. I mean, and it. Yeah, there's no flex. This is not plastic.
Mhm.
This is definitely resin.
The other 3D printing, one of the reasons I'm talking about getting a new filament printer or getting my old filament printer like back up into tip top shape again
Mm-hmm.
is so I've been playing a lot of board games lately with the group.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the games we've been playing lately are Hero Quest, where I want to paint all the little figures that come with it. And like also I have all the expansions for the new Hero Quest too, and including the Kickstarter, well not Kickstarter, whatever Hasbro's not Kickstarter website is.
Oh
Uh,
yes, the GI Joe whatever, or sorry, Hero Quest was it?
yeah, yeah. And Scythe, which, wonderful board game. But all these board games have, and also wanting to get the new Frosthaven, they all have one thing very much in common:
Mm-hmm.
thousands of tiny little pieces that you want to have easy access to.
Yeah.
So you need box inserts. This is a solved problem. People make box inserts. They
Lots
make
of
them.
box inserts.
Yeah. So MDF is common. There's been a lot of really cool ones made out of foam core or like the little rubberized foam that they make exercise mats out of. I've been seeing some of those enter the market. But you know what's a really good tool for making precisely shaped little plastic shapes?
That's that.
Silicone molds.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going with that.
No.
But I guess that makes sense. Are you just talking about like photo curing resin in a silicone mold?
No, I'm going to 3D print the little boxes.
Oh, okay. That was the obvious answer.
Right.
I apparently,
Yes.
I'm actually under the
Sorry,
weather.
we're a little bit slow right now, gang.
I'm under the weather. I'm fighting off con crud. I was at FanX this weekend,
no.
which was the local big, comic book.
I am absolutely terrified. Like, I am worried about you and terrified about me and my team
going to Spiel.
Yeah.
I have to say that's where it finally got me. The Big C finally got me at this exact con last year. I dodged it for 3 years. And
we have something from Samoflash.
Oh, MMF has Clockwork Dinosaurs. Don't see it. Oh, they do have Clockwork Raptors.
Rocket Pig has Clockwork Dinosaurs and Clockwork Raptors specifically. Man, Rocket Pig has been around forever, and we barely ever talk about them. They're also one of the few holdouts of supportless models. They don't do exclusively supportless models anymore.
They don't,
but they still do on the regular, just straight up supportless miniatures that do not look it.
They do have Clockwork Raptors, and they look fairly demonic. I mean,
thank you, listeners. You have been wonderful.
I expected maybe to hear about this next week, but
this saves us so much time.
Look, right there.
That is a terrifying little raptor.
This one has his big sharp teeth, even.
Yeah. Are those supportless? They look like they could be.
They could be. They could be. Let's see. They are. I always look for them on supportless how old it is, because often if it's been added a while back, they are. But I don't see the date on it. Doesn't.
I will say that when it came time to get terrain ready for, I'm doing a mix of 3D printed terrain and battle systems terrain for the demo tables at Spiel, because I needed something that would be lightweight and that I could fit into a suitcase easy enough, because I have to fly this stuff there.
Yeah.
And battle systems, if I don't know if we talked about on the show before, I think we have, but they're basically card stock, like board game stock terrain that's pre-printed, kind of like that cool Russian stuff that I showed off a little while ago that I can't pronounce the name of. But they're more modular, and so they've released some sci-fi sets lately, so they'll be really good for the grimdark stuff. And they released some like they've been doing fantasy stuff for ages and ages. So I've got so I ordered a set of the fantasy and a set of the sci-fi stuff for the demo tables, and I'm 3D printed a billion, way too many, because I was using it to kind of tune my printer. Of the Titan Forge's sci-fi shipping crates.
Oh, cool.
So I have so many Titan Forge shipping crates.
It's as if you can have too many, right?
I've gotten in, one of those these cubes, these fabric cubes. One of them is entirely shipping crates.
Feature, not a bug, as far as I'm concerned.
But they're not painted yet, so I need to go paint them.
Well,
but they're shipping crates. This is not going to be a tough problem.
So speaking of which, since you're talking about shipping crates, what's your favorite rust paint? Because I do want to take ye old Clockwork Train Dragon and rust them up. But I can only think of one, and I don't necessarily want to buy it.
So the best answer is the one you don't want to buy.
That's
which is Dirty Down.
Okay.
It just looks so good. It's insane how good it looks. And it's just so fast. You need to dedicate a paintbrush to it, because it will destroy any paintbrush you use.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So just get a cheap freaking paintbrush, and just that's the one that's going to be used with it.
Gotcha.
And it is expensive as crap, at like $20 a bottle. But it is just so good at its job that nothing else comes close. Like the other option is to just, if I was having to do rust effects, I would just use like just different brown paint sponged on with a little bit of orange.
Yeah, maybe
and use the sponge application method for it.
Yeah, I really like. I'm surprised that I like the 2.0 speed paint metallics as much as I do, because I was ride or die for sure with the Monument Hobby stuff.
That stuff's great.
It's amazing, but the speed paint's also really good.
Yeah,
so I think that's probably
very happy with it,
because he's going to be just a little bit off slap chop. Metallics don't quite work as well for slap chopping, but I think I'll hit him up that way. Let's see, a crackle paint. I do have some crackle medium.
Good luck. Good luck with crackle medium. God bless.
Not good.
I mean, you have other people love it. Other people have had wonderful success with it. I have only ever had disaster, and I understand that this is a me thing. Just test before you use it.
I tried it on some shoulder pads for kind of a prototype Plague Marine, and it didn't do as much as I wanted it to. But I've been told maybe you have to do more like a thicker application. Table size shipping freighter? What?
I don't know that I need a table size shipping freighter with crates.
That's cool.
That looks awesome. That sounds awesome. Blasted Camouflage, but good Lord, where would I keep it? I have a dedicated game room, and it's already getting crowded in here.
Add orange shaved pencil crayon into liquid medium and paint it on for rust.
Interesting.
I'll have to look into that. Apparently, it's a tutorial on YouTube. I'll have to check that out.
Speaking of Marines, there has been something I want to shout out to is Puppets War surprised us with a little bit of a third bonus release this month coming to their Patreon.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a day one supporter of them, so I think I'm still like on a very, very early access tier still with them. So
they haven't said what it is. They've only given us a teaser picture, which is of their beefy strikers.
I mean, those kind of look like Great Knights to me.
No. You see, that's a halberd with a not bolt gun attached to it, and with a little crest behind their heads and a little crest on their helmets. This, my friend, is not Custodes.
Sure.
These are not Custodes.
I mean, you could.
Oh, you could absolutely make some Grey Knights out of this stuff if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And there's lots of stuff to add to that.
Mine had little force glaives like that. So now, granted, this was from like, I don't know, 4th edition or something. So that was a long time ago. I haven't painted a human sci-fi army in I don't know how long.
But we've just been joking about this because I've been wanting to do a Grimdark Future Firefight Custodian Brothers force because it's the meme. It's literally 3 miniatures for your entire force, and you have to take the most basic troop out of it too. You can't do hardly any upgrades, and surprisingly, there are not that many choices out there to print. Heroes Infinite did a good set recently. And Cyberforge did a set of the Terminators that would be great proxies. But you can't do a Terminator. They're too many points for Firefight. Because you have 100-point limit on a unit in Firefight. And you have 300 points. So you can't get them. So I have to go with the basics. And nobody had done like a really good basic one yet. I'm sure they have. I'm sure our listeners are like screaming. It's like, how did you not think of so and so? And I'm like, because
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
be surprised if somebody in chat's like, I made 12.
If you made 12, I will buy them right now if you tell me in chat before the episode's over. But the other kicker is that the 515 points is new, David. That's we upped the percentage. It used to be 100 points even.
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Plastic Samouflage says, what are your
It's
thoughts?
35% now. It used to be 33%, David.
Thoughts on bases that aren't round or square? What about triangle shape? I would like that. I mean, especially for war games where you're doing, as long as it just has to be consistent, I think that'd be interesting.
I like to keep it one or the other.
Sure.
Don't like to mix and match. I don't want circles in with my squares.
So you know what I hate?
What?
Ovals.
And for war games where the base size matters, that you need to be consistent and it needs to be specific ones, fun base sizes don't work out so great because you're not supposed to use them. But for RPG characters, go for it. And for war games where it don't matter, like OPR, go for it. And then like David, of course, chiming in hexes for everything. Hex bases are great if you're playing on hexes or you are playing robots.
It's also fun
playing BattleTech, use hexes.
Well, it's also fun for ranking up. You can do some fun configurations with that hexes. I like.
Nobody makes octagon bases. We need some octagon bases. It's completely impractical.
I don't know that I don't know. I did go through a base collecting phase. I might have an octagon. But I think it might have been like intended to be like a coin base that was like a octagons don't fit together. I mean,
that's why it's impractical.
They could. I mean,
they look cool.
If there's a pattern, there's holes between them, sure. Pentagons.
Octagons in practice are just fancy squares.
Fair enough. They are two sets of rotated parallelograms. Anyway, sorry.
And with that said, you have a shout out for us, Kristen?
I already got to talk about my Kickstarter, which has been my life for the last several weeks.
I will. If anybody's going to be at Spiel, I hope to see you all there.
We won't have an episode next week, right?
We won't have an episode. You are listening to next week's episode right now.
Well, yes.
Yes. So this episode will hit the podcast next week.
We will not have a live episode next week.
You may have noticed that an episode went live this morning on the podcast feed.
Yes.
And then this episode will go live on the podcast feed next week. And then
on the 10th, we will be back in synchronicity.
Indeed, yeah. It's called a buffer. It's useful. Most podcasts work like that. I'm just silly, insane person that wants to put the podcasts out literally the night we record them. But we will be back on the 10th.
Yep.
With Dragon Trappers Lodge, Austin from Dragon Trappers Lodge, for a live episode. Yep. And then in the meantime, we will see you all around. I'm Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Perram.
I'm Christen Sowers, also known as Seventh Mastery.